Hey everyone, welcome to an all-new Max Chroma video. In this video, we're going over some new updates I've got for the DTF Auto Prepper Halftone Rip. That's the Photoshop Action Pack for that I have available on my web store. This is version 1.2.7 now. And then we're going to go over, first of all, the ScreenTone DTF version 1.0.5, which is a standalone app. It's a desktop software that runs with the browser or standalone if you have PC, but it's pretty much the same thing, runs offline. And if you have Mac or mobile platform, you can also install it. So what we're going over is a few new features in this app. Both of them now have automatic color detection and customizable batch processing. So we're going to go over this, and I'm going to show you how to install ScreenTone DTF really easily. If you're on Mac OS or on a PC, it'll work the same way, or even on mobile. And then I'll show you how to do the actions in Photoshop. And what's kind of interesting is it's now easier and faster to do the ScreenTone DTF, the standalone software. You don't need Photoshop for it either. So if you're on my website at max-chroma.com, you can go to the YouTube channel, watch legacy videos, or the web store. And if you're at the web store, you can go to this program or this product I have, Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper Halftone Rip. So for just $20, I have it available where you can get, and this is just because I've purchased the photo tessellator and some other products. What happens is, let me just remind you guys, if you buy the ScreenTone Eternal package for $400, you'll get the other two products for free. You'll basically get 100% discount on those products. If you buy the photo tessellator, you'll get this product for free. And so it's kind of built in that you would get an upgrade discount, or you just get a discount if you buy your way up as well. So just let me know what products you're interested in, look them over. But they all give you free upgrades for life. So when I show these update videos, like what I'm going over here, the updates are free for anyone that bought it before. You don't have to pay for new updates. So in the Auto Prepper, it's a Photoshop action set originally, but then I figured out how to make these programs that are standalone apps, not just on the web, but they run offline, and we can do the same sort of thing. And what it does is it's basically pulling the background out of an image and converting it to halftones. So jumping right in, if you purchase the product, you're going to get this download link. And with the download link, when you go to it, you'll see this page. On this page, you can check out your license key. You want to keep track of that. Don't share it or give it away, and it's just your key to use for downloading the program and installing it right here. I'll go ahead and download all the files just so we get it started. So we first have the action file .atn. This is Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper 127.atn. I'll just download that. Next is the Max Chroma Photo Tessellator Halftone Patterns.pat file. Download that, but this stuff is for Photoshop, and you'd have to have Photoshop in order for it to run. The next file is the ScreenTone DTF version 1.0.5 zip file, but this is an installer that would only work for PC. So a lot of people have been asking me, does it work for Mac OS? And yes, we have that now. And if you download just this file, that's all you need to do it. Install ScreenTone DTF edition.html. So it's a special link. And then when we click on that link, we'll go and enter the license key, and then that'll let us download the product, okay? But let me just keep downloading the rest of the files. Realtime halftones.zip, extra tools.zip, pattern packs. And then what I like to do is provide all the older versions as well. So here's the 1.2.6 version of the action file, 1.2.5, all the versions from 1.0.1 to 1.24, and then the previous versions of ScreenTone DTF. So now that we have all that downloaded, I'm going to actually just select and copy this license number, and then I'm going to go right to my downloads folder and show you. We click on this link, it's going to go to this special page where I'm going to select the product, ScreenTone DTF, enter the license key. I'll just right click, paste, click verify license. It's going to say verify successfully if you purchased it. And then you go to this landing page where now I can click on the link, and what this does, it brings me to a special website. This website, I can now run the software online, but what it's really meant for is installing it, because you now own the software for the $20 purchase. You can click on this icon right here in the upper right, or you can look for it in the options, go to save, and you can click on install. So you're going to look for an icon to pop up that says install, or click it up here. When I click this, it pops up and it says install Max Chroma ScreenTone DTF edition. Click install. Then it sort of pops in its own window here, right? We can move this around, but I'm going to show you what we'll do is we'll close down the browser, close down these other windows, okay? And I'll close this too. So it's installed it to the desktop here as an icon. And now when I double click that, it opens up the app. But what I want you to see is that it runs even offline when you're not connected to the internet, because now it's installed on your system. And that's the point of this. And this is how it should work on your Mac OS as well. The other thing you can do is then you can uninstall it also. If I click into it and I'm in here, I could click, once it loads, I could click up here and click uninstall, but you really shouldn't. You got to be careful, because if you want to install it again, you'd have to go back through that page, clicking on the link and entering your license again. So this version is now installed on my system, and I've gone through some testing, but I could disconnect the internet cable and it'll still run, okay? But let's just jump into it now with this before we go into Photoshop. So I'll show you with it open. And I built the software now to just do open an image to begin. Let me do load image file. And I've got some test artwork images that I've set up here, which would be, just images that have a background in them already. Let's open up this one. And what it does is it actually tries to detect the color and knock out the background automatically. And what I'll do is show you up in the tabs up here. We can go to, there's file where I loaded the image, adjustments, preferences, and save. Right now I could just save the image. It's just that it's a little bit low resolution. It's only 96 dpi. If I were to print this at 10 inches, you usually want to increase the resolution. This was just like an AI artwork. But let me show you guys what it's kind of doing by going to the adjustments tab, clicking on the show source image, and then zooming out a bit. There's a zoom bar down here, and then a little scroll bar. So I can look at the original image on the left and the new image on the right. We can go to preferences and change the entire background of the program under appearance. So you could do like dark mode if you want, or light mode, white or black. But you shouldn't really use that for the background, to simulate the background that you're going to put everything on. You can, but I'm just going to set it maybe to like a navy. I might eventually set this to where we could put any color to it. But there's a different way to simulate the background that you have this going on. So I could actually change this. I'm going to scroll down. There's a whole bunch of controls. Usually these controls show up no matter what tab you're on. Okay. I'll just go back to the file tab so you can see. It defaults to a halftone shape of an ellipse. It tells us what the main pixels width and height of the image are. That tells us if we were going to print it at a width of 10 inches by default, it would only be about 96 dpi resolution. So there's ways to change that in the settings. We won't go into that right now, but just in a minute. I'm going to scroll down and show you the other settings that we have here. And one of them is the main stuff down at the bottom I want to show you now. This is where I've defaulted these color modes, okay? And these are the DTF color replacement modes. I've defaulted it to do this auto color alpha into original. So what it's doing is detecting the color automatically and then converting it to alpha, which is transparency, and then blending that to the original. Oops, see, I clicked the wrong button. You can also then click right here, show auto color alpha into solid white. There it's doing the underbase now. And what's different between the previous version, 1.03, I think, what I was showing in the other video, is now we can create the alpha transparency and we can save this file directly. So let me go up to the top, click on save, just show you. Save that file. And this should automatically go to your downloads folder. I can click on it, go there. And here we are. So now here's the image as transparency. But again, this is a little bit too low resolution. You know, the dots are really low. They're just kind of like pixels. And the whole image is pretty low resolution. You don't really have to go and upscale it in like another upscaler. You could just go in this one and I'll go to the adjustments tab and change the image size here. You got to be careful. Don't go too high. I have this set like you could go crazy high, but really don't do that in here. It's just if you had a super low res pixelated image and you needed to upscale it. But for right now, just use this as like you go to about 200%, 300%, see if you can get to 400 or 500. But if I go to 300% and scroll down just a little bit, you should be able to see, if I can look at both of these at the same time, the resolution is now to 288, so almost 300. I'll see if I can keep going, but there'll be a point on most systems. It's utilizing your graphics card, your GPU. And right now I'm still optimizing that stuff, but on most systems, there'll be a point where it sort of fails. But you want to see if you can get this resolution up past, 300 to 400, 500, etc. Okay. Yeah, you see, I went to 550 and it failed because now it's just showing the original image. So you just be careful of that limit that you can get out of it. And we'll talk about how to get higher resolution out of that in future videos. But for right now, I want to show you what we can get out of this and just how cool it really is. Super automated, and it's super easy for anybody to now just take an AI image, load it into the program, make the halftone knockout automatically, and save the image so you can go and basically just send it out for a heat transfer or print it on your own direct-to-film printer and just put it right on a shirt or, do anything with it. But this is mostly for that kind of process, right? When I have it set up to this high resolution, I'll save the file and show you. I'm going to go right to downloads. So now zooming in, you can see this is much higher resolution. We got cleaner halftone dot pattern where it fades out, right? And the artwork is still kind of like low res, but it's going to work for a print. You just digitally print this and put it right on a shirt. And you can simulate what the shirt color would look like by these modes down here. So I can change this to make it where I want to actually select the color. Also, let me just hold up and show you what the auto color is doing before we select the color itself. So I could open an image, save that out. I could change it to the choked underbase version as a solid white and then save that. And we could do the same with a gradient white. Okay, and we'll go up and save this one just to show you. You could also now control the amount of choke that's on it. Automatically, when it switches to it, it does a 2-pixel choke. But it's not showing that right now, but you can change it. So I could actually increase this to be more or less. And I can go to the solid white one, do the same thing. I could have 3-pixel choke. It's really easy to show if I switch between a choke and a trap, and I got it on 3. So there's choke. Trap should then push the stuff outward. You'll see it expand, right? Okay, go back to choke. Oh, I'm sorry. This is very important. It's not showing it. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to look at it because it really is all about how I test this stuff. So you can see this right here. I'm changing this, right? It's not doing anything. I didn't do the auto default override. This is really connected to this slider. Let's do auto default override. Now we can control it. We'll go up to 3. It takes a little bit to process, but it's just working pretty fast. 3-pixel choke. If I do trap, it'll expand this outward instead of cutting inward. So there you go. But that's going to be, you wouldn't use it that way. You would do this maybe on the original. So on the color version, you could expand it outward. And on the base version, you could cut it back, do a choke. Okay. And gradient white with a choke, etc. But let's just go ahead and turn back on the auto default. and we'll go to the original, auto color alpha into original. Okay, we'll turn this off to 0. All right, one thing we can do is control with the levels right here, black point level, white point level, and midpoint level. With the automatic color it's removing, I'll show you essentially what's happening. The black point level is how much it pushes into the color. The white point level is how much of that color sort of comes out of this whole thing. And the midpoint would be between the two, okay? So you want to like keep the midpoint between these two, just for now. I'm going to open another image and we'll take a look at how it works, just because I think you need to see essentially what's happening here. It's all really automated for the most part. Now I've got it so you can load an image in under File. We'll just pick any image here. This lion one's pretty cool. And I've messed with the defaults, so this is important to see. See how the default doesn't really capture all the color? What I'm doing is I'm selecting an area from the border, trying to average it out and pick the color. So it does it automatically there, but I have the default set this way. If I don't, let me zoom in and show you. It might leave some dots out here in the background area, but the default's usually set with this up a little bit. So let me show you guys that. We'll just close the program. I need to do some reset buttons, so it just resets to default, but I want to show you the point of how it works. Let me close all this stuff down. Imagine we're just opening up ScreenTone DTF. Okay, and we can load an image, pull up that lion image right here, and it remembers some of the defaults. Like it remembers the thing that I want to show the source image and that the background color is khaki, but I don't have it remembering all the stuff yet. We're going to build a whole preset system. Don't worry about that right now. Okay. So it opens up, and now that I've got the the image is still on this one opening at 100 dpi. So let's just change that part first. We'll go to adjustments and we'll say, we know we're working with some low res AI images, right? So we'll push it to about 400, and now we're at 400 dpi. Okay, so it's really good enough. Now we've got the elliptical halftone dots, so we'll just keep it at that. And the halftone LPI, this is another default I have set at 30, should work fine for most of the sending out to the printers. Either getting a transfer made or doing one at home yourself. Or in your own, professional shop. There's a lot of different ways these things work, but they take a file that has already got the transparency removed, and then when it's halftones, it can be kind of in this detail size right here, but you have control over it. What I'm going to do is show you, I can save this image right out the way it is now at that high res. So let's do save. We can look at that in the downloads. Okay, so there's this one. You can see the halftones, right? And this is basically ready to send to a heat transfer or to do your own print. And here's those other ones we can look at, right? Okay, but anyway, back to this one. If we go and open another image, I'll show you a load image. Let's just pick this. And so that's what I'm doing with this default black point level. At 0.03, it's at least pushed in a little bit to try to not let a lot of dots show up in the background color if it's off a bit. And then the white point level is not all the way up here, because that would basically make it so it sort of cuts out way too much stuff with the halftones. I've got the white point level at about 0.43 or something, and the midpoint level between the two. Okay, just controls like how much of that stuff still shows up, right? But what I've done is setting those defaults seems to work for most images, and it just won't work on certain stuff where, let's say you obviously have an extreme difference between the sides of the image being one color and then this background part. It's only taking it from the corner, the lower corner. And so this one kind of works because you still have the edges. I mean, it'd be still okay as like going on a shirt, but you could still control these things. But for the most part with the default, I wanted it to be something that would work for most images that just have a solid color background. Let's load this in again. Do this one, not too bad. It kind of averaged them a little down there. Let's load this. Black background is going to work really nice. Okay, ready to go. Load another one. Okay, I could adjust it a little bit. Keep some of that stuff, right? Okay, but the cool part we're going to show really just next, I think. Oh wait, let me just show you this one. So this one has a little bit of a gradient. We'll get into this in another video because I'm going to keep adding to the features and making this stuff really powerful. But for right now, you can see it's capturing the color down here. And I'll show you just setting it to a custom color. So we're not in auto mode. We're going to go to color 1 as replacer 1. Or we'll do it as shirt color so we can set the shirt color also. So we'll do color 1 as shirt color into original. I clicked on that. But what I need to do now is set custom color 1 right here. We're going to click color picker so it's on. Go over to the original, left click on that. Then we're going to go up to shirt color. And we don't need to do the color picker. We're just going to click on it, left click here. And you can see I changed the shirt color background that it's at, right? Whoop, hold on. And let me just set it something you can see, that light color. And then we're going to go back to custom color 1 being the color picker. So you'll see as I click this and move it, that's kind of the range of the color that we're removing to transparency or to this custom shirt color right now. We're looking at it as we could do color 1 to original itself. We could do replacer 1, like replace it with another color. Let's say green. We can do color 1 as shirt color, like I just had a second ago. Or replacer 1 into replacer 2. So change it as these two colors into each other. And then black into white, white into black, alpha, shirt color. That's if you actually have transparency in the original already, those two. And then we can do this other one as color 1 alpha into original. So this one actually makes it totally knocked out, right? But we're using color 1 instead of the auto color. So with color 1 selected and set to the color picker, I can move around and pick any color from the art that I want to knock out. And this is all in real time, right? See that? It's kind of crazy. So let me just show you though, when you have a gradient in the image, it's not going to automatically really pull both colors. And if you picked this color in between, you could try to set the range to get rid of most of it, but it's going to be hard when there's a darker color down here and a lighter color up there. But you could try to pick an in-between level. Instead of this one down here, could go up a little bit and then set the black point high, higher, and try to get that to work. But on the automatic settings, okay, with this at like, 0.03 or something, right? 0.03. With the automatic settings and the auto color, alpha into original, it's just picking from the lower corner again. So it's not always going to work. I just want you guys to know this isn't like it's magic, okay? It's not always going to do, you can do some of this stuff in other programs, but for the most part, what the ScreenTone DTF software is doing is sort of working with a gradient or a fade from a background color into the original art. And that's just something that maybe a lot of other software doesn't specialize in. You can't really do that the same way as automatically. In Photoshop, you can still do this stuff manually, and we'll show that. But to get it as automated as this, I've now had to set the actions a little bit differently, and that's what we're going to show in this video as well. But let me open up another few images, and we'll show you something cool. So let's open up this one. Yeah, it's not too bad. I would kind of want it to maybe pull the gradient, and it's something I'm planning to do, is make it so we can detect a gradient in the background and just automatically knock that out too. Let's go to this one. Okay, not too bad. This, pretty good. So what we're going to try to do is I'll show you this other feature I've now added, batch convert images. So we can click batch convert, and let's just actually click a whole bunch of them. and say open with all those settings. Okay, so it's going to do it as high res. I'm going to cancel before I do it. You got to be careful. It's going to do this at higher res for a lot of these images, which would be 300 DPI or more. And it'll try to do these same settings I have, the ellipse dots, the 30 LPI, and for about a 10-inch wide print. Okay, so for right now, that's going to default for each of these images. When I do batch convert, I'm going to select all of these images and hit open. And it may warn us for a second and say we need to download more files, or it just starts doing it. Yeah, this is great. It's just doing it, right? So it's automatically processing all these images and saving them. I can look at it in the downloads folder, and it's just automatically putting them all right there. And so this is really, we're getting to a whole new level of stuff, of automation. But I think that you still want to go into some images and actually work with it more custom and manually for each image. But you could go through more automated and say, okay, which ones do I need to fix, and try it that way. And it's really kind of cool. You know, this is pretty amazing stuff we're getting to now, both in the terms of automation and the capabilities. Okay. And so I suppose at this point I might show you how to install it in Photoshop and go through the same thing. And now we've got a similar path where we have an automatic color feature and a batch processing feature working. Let's say you wanted to have the underbases for each of these processed. So we could go through also after it's done, and all we'd have to do is actually just set it so it's on underbase mode, either the solid white or the gradient white. And you could go through and do the same batch convert, select all the same images. I'll just do a few of them to show you. Okay. Like, let's say you picked out, the ones that worked good. Okay. And we'll just say open those. This will now go through and processes the underbases with the 2-pixel choke. And it saves them as these PNG files. So if you matched up the files with your RIP, you just load them in and you're ready to start printing. But I still think that this stuff isn't meant to just pump out things perfectly automated. It's not going to get it perfect every time. You're going to have to look at some of these images and make some decisions about it. But, I still think that what I'm trying to build here is also the tools to do that, where you go in real time and change some custom settings as to just, how you're knocking the color out of it, how much color you're keeping. Look at it on a different shirt color. Let's do that, color one as with shirt color to original. And I'm just going to now pick the color. Let me set the color here. Color one, click on it, left click over here. And then I can change the shirt and see what it looks like on different shirt colors. You can see like, oh, it's going to show up too much of that green background if you put it on that shirt color. And then you could go in and take a look at it here and say, okay, well, let's try to knock out more of that background. Just like so. So it's really very powerful just in this app alone. And like I said, I'm going to just close this. It runs completely offline. It's yours forever, and you get to get the upgrades. You continue to get the free updates, okay, continually as I improve it. So right now it's at a point where it does all that stuff, and it was not even like that just, I'd say, about 2 weeks ago. So I'm really on a fast track of changing some of these features and making it really powerful. I don't really like the whole idea of paying forever for software, like subscribing, this Photoshop thing, Adobe, etc. So I'm trying to give you guys more ways than just using things like actions in Photoshop. But right now I'm in Photoshop. This is version 2023. It works in 2024. Some of the actions, most of them work all the way back to like CS6. If I'm just open with nothing loaded in the patterns or the actions, I'm going to show you just how to install it again real quick. Let me delete the default actions. So what I have when I'm in Photoshop with nothing here, I can go to Window, Actions, and then see this Actions panel. I can click on button mode. It's very important to see. And if you move this around, drag the side here, it's going to change how many columns and rows show up, and the buttons can look very distracting if it's like this. Usually in button mode, you want to have this thing like this. And clicking off of button mode with this options here, I can actually click on the folder and then delete all the default actions. So we're going to start with no actions loaded and no patterns. If I go Window, Patterns, here's this, we'll do it again, Window, Patterns. So it shows up right here. There's our Patterns panel. So these two little panels control the add-ons that we can put into Photoshop. What we're going to do now is go to the Downloads folder. And if I ignore all this stuff, in fact, I'm just going to delete it because I don't really need these things except for the video I was doing. And we're looking at just the stuff we downloaded from the purchase of the product, right? And what we'll do is look at those action files. And so the 1.2.7 Auto Prepper, so Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper 1.2.7 ATN file. All you really got to do is either double click it when you have Photoshop running, double click, and it asks us what we want to open it in. We just want to make sure we open in that. If it doesn't automatically pop in, it should. So there you go right here. Okay. Let me just delete that and show you again. Usually it'll do it automatically. We can also drag it in. There it shows up. Let's see, here's all these actions that you get. And I'm going to delete that. And I can also go with the Actions panel. I'm going to click this and then do Load Actions. And we'll go right to the Downloads folder. In this 1.2.7. The next thing we'll do is I'll show you how to do the patterns. So Max Chroma Photo Tessellator Halftone Patterns.pat. You really only need this one, and it's only for some of the custom pattern actions to run. But what I'm going to do is drag this one in here. Now it's loaded. Or I can delete them and do this like grabbing the options, doing import patterns. And then we'll go to downloads and this file right here. And again, I think you can just double click it. Double click the file and it loads in Photoshop just automatically. The actions one should do that too. Okay, so we don't need to look at the patterns panel, and we're going to take the actions panel. I like to kind of snap it in over here and then turn it to button mode. And we're going to remember that this can look too confusing this way. We're going to move this so it looks just like that. So to me, I think that's a lot of different stuff to go through just to get this program loaded compared to installing the DTF Auto Prepper, or I'm sorry, the ScreenTone DTF edition, which runs now as its own app. You don't got to load any things into it, but there's stuff that can't really do, like the really high resolution and all that stuff yet. So in Photoshop, going through this process, we've got the actions now loaded. What I'm going to show you is some of the new updates in 1.2.7, and we're going to go and load some images from the test artwork we had. Like, let's bring this image into Photoshop. And all we have to really do now is, so here's, DTF Auto Prepper version 1.2.7. In some of the other videos, I showed the new transparency section, the real-time halftones. Now it's at 1.0.6 because we have an auto color version, but I'm going to skip that. Go right to full auto. And you used to have to, if you picked the custom colors, custom shirt color in the full auto section, it still would stop and make you pick from the outside area the color. Now we can just do DTF prep for custom shirt auto. Let's let it run through. And it goes and produces the artwork. Let me zoom out. Fading into that shirt color. Let me turn off the shirt color and the background. And there we go. So that's really cool. It's actually just automatically knocked out the color into the halftone background, ready to save out like this. Let me just close it. We'll close and we'll open up a different image. Let's try this one. DTF prep. And so the other thing you got to be careful of when you open this image size, go to image size in Photoshop. These are defaulting to about 72 DPI resolution, but 13 by 16. So that might be, too big, or I'll maybe make it like 10 by 12. The resolution I want to show you doesn't really matter with the actions here because I force it to go to like 600 DPI. So clicking on this DTF prep for custom shirt auto, removes it, puts it over that background color. And remember, it might be way zoomed in, so I'm going to zoom out here. And I'm using my scroll wheel to zoom. You can also do Control minus and plus. Okay, and so there we go. That's basically like in high res now, 600 DPI. So those halftones are really good. And it's just basically ready to save. We could do this file save as a PNG file. Well, you can't do it unless you delete these other two layers. So click on this one, delete, click on this one, delete, or hold on, undo, click on this and do the little trash icon. Click that layer, trash icon, okay. So then you do file save as, oops, not save a copy. File save as. We could do PNG or TIFF file, right? Those ones would not add much like distortion into the colors or anything. JPEG might do it a little bit, but let's just do PNG in the downloads. Okay. And so this file will be ready to send out for a transfer. You might crop the top and bottom a bit. You could print it on your own printer, etc. Have the RIP software add the choked under base, or do that right in here. But what I want to show you is, let's say you want it to be prepped all that way, okay? And I'm going to change this from button mode into the full mode. We can look at these actions. And I've gone now, instead of the full auto section, user choice, custom patterns, full halftoning, which we still need to go over in a new video. White underlay options. This is for this. You could just click right on this once you've got it with the halftones knocked out, and add a solid white with a choke 1 or 2 pixels, gradient white with choke 1 or 2. But what I want you to see is the multi-action combos. And so I've set one up now where it does custom shirt auto transparent PNG, and it also will play these 2 actions I've set up in here for image size, print, and resolution. So it'll do image size defaulting to 10 inches, and it'll do resolution defaulting to 600. But we can change those, and you can add these in. So I'm going to show some videos in advanced ways to go into the Photoshop actions and sort of customize. Maybe you want it to go to 720 instead of 600. So I'll click on this and uncheck that. And in the actions, I just customized it to go to 720 DPI when it runs that. But I've only got it running this image size thing in one of these multi-actions here, right? But what I can do is custom shirt auto, transparent PNG, and know it's going to run that, and the print size and the resolution. So it's going to go 10 inches, set resolution to 720, then run the DTF action for custom shirt auto, and then it'll do some other stuff to it and be deleting those other layers so it's ready to save. So let me just do play. And there we go. Let me control minus, or like zoom out. Okay, or if you're not familiar with Photoshop, go over here to the tool panel, click on the magnifier, and then go to the minus right here, or do like fit screen. It's easier, just do fit screen. Okay, if you're way zoomed in, you could do Control 0, or you could also go up to view and do fit on screen. There we go. We're looking at the whole thing. So that went through all that stuff, and it's ready to save as a PNG file, right? File, save as, downloads, PNG right there. Okay. But that means we can run this with other images and make a batch process, because Photoshop has a batch process. When we go File, Automate, we do batch process right there easily. So if we go and close this image, okay, let's open up a new one. We'll go and just use something like this shark one. Okay, And that's in those multi-action combos, which I still need to go over a lot more in some other videos. But just for the automatic color one, now we can run a batch process with auto color removal, and it's got the transparent PNG. So it's kind of like I'm showing you how to set it up like the ScreenTone DTF. Okay, and that other one also went to, I think, 720 DPI. Let me try it. Let me run this and just double check. We're going to do view, fit on screen. We'll do image size. Yeah, 10 inches wide, 720 DPI. Cool. Let me close it. And now I'm going to show you something really cool. File, automate, batch. And we're going to choose from the set of actions, the Max Chroma DTF Auto Prepper, play the action. And here's where you got to look at the whole list, or scroll down to the multi-action combos, custom shirt auto transparent PNG. We're going to choose a source folder, then do choose. We'll go to the desktop, test artwork, select folder, okay. And we want to do destination would be a folder, and we need to, maybe I'll set up a new folder here, desktop, right click, new folder. So I want to go to my desktop and make sure I have another new folder there, okay. Destination folder, choose desktop, new folder, okay, oop, new folder, okay. And then it should just go ahead and actually save them. It should put them in that folder because they're just PNG files. I think this is, I set it up so it'll work this way. Let's hit OK. All right, so it's loading the images from that folder one at a time, running them through the actions. Oh, okay, it's asking us to save it. So here I'll hit save and do OK. So I might have to tell it to save them and close them. Let's try that. Let's try that. It's going to process them though in the same folder probably. Because each one this way is going to stop and ask me to save it. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, it's running. Okay, it's running. Good. Maybe it was just the first one that got messed up. Maybe it was just asking me to pick that it would save that way. A file type. It's pretty interesting. We're going to go over it in some more videos, but this is going through and just automatically knocking out the color, setting it to 10 inches, 720 DPI. It's, I think it's a round halftone dot, or yeah, I think it's round at 30 LPI. Some of these, like I said, some of them might knock out too much stuff. You want to look at it, might leave too much stuff in the background. Just be careful and look at them before you run them. Really, you know, I don't really advocate just doing full-on automatic production, not looking at stuff. You should really check it out. But this is what some people have been asking about, and it's possible, and we're getting into fully automated workflows now. But it's really cool stuff. I'm glad that I could show you guys this new video going over the new updates. And again, this is just, you know, it's going through and it's just processing it. I'm not touching the computer, and it's just running each of these images, pulling them up, automatically detecting the background color, knocking it out to the halftones, and you can customize these actions to do all sorts of different stuff. But this is, you know, something that for production, it could actually speed up your day significantly. If you had to go through a lot of images and do this first part, you might want to say, all right, some of these are good enough to go. Other ones I'll go through and customize and maybe fix up a bit. But, you know, it's possible. And so that's what I like to explore with the Max Chroma products, is what's possible to automate, what's stuff that we would go in by hand and do. And that's also in the actions as well with the real-time actions. I might stop this. I'll show you how to stop it, because this is a good thing. No, man, this is going now to all these images. Oops, I did the wrong thing. Let's hit escape when we're in Photoshop. Just hit escape and then stop. We just cancel the whole process, okay? Close that. But we can see now in that folder, new folder, all these images processed out, ready to print on transfer film. Nice. Okay. Next, I want to show you, just before I conclude the video, because this one's getting a little bit long at this point, but it was a lot of new features to cover. Let me go into the desktop test artwork. Let's just pull up this one here. And I'm going to show you, we're going to look at the actions in button mode again. And you want to move this over like that. And we're going to scroll down and do the halftone, real-time halftones, auto color. So this is a new one in version 1.0.6, the little subsection of real-time halftones. So here we go, click on it. Now it just picks the color in the background automatically, and you can adjust it. It's not hard set in there. And so this is me making Photoshop try to work like the other one. I need to go to the image size and change that. So we're at the like 720 DPI. Okay, maybe 10 inches. I should have changed that too. And here's where Photoshop, it'll go high res, but it'll be pushing your system a little bit to do this stuff. Okay. Image size. Let's do 10. I want to see the preview. We'll just do nearest neighbor. Hit OK. Yeah. Still trying to preview it. We can try to X that little preview button. Yeah, see, this is stuff. Sometimes it's like it's going high res, but it's trying to do stuff where it's like, okay, wait. And I kind of want it to escape out of it. I don't know if it processed though. Hold on, go back to image size. Okay, it processed. I just had to hit escape, I guess. The dots are like too big, right? So I want to make these a certain size. With the real-time halftones in Photoshop, it's now on a custom pattern layer, and we can change the scale of it. But for the resolution that you're at, it's not really like a set size. So to get the right LPI, I might go to like 40%. It's going to be like a good enough dot size for the direct-to-film process. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. But now the cool part is it's not all hard set like that. We can go in and change things like the levels. And here's where I've got it defaulted again, like the black point is up a little bit. Okay, because otherwise you might get too many of these dots off in the background. Right? Some show up out here in like the space that we don't want it. We'll just move this up like that. Okay. And also maybe be careful of the background, the whole cropped out area of the image. Let me look at this image by itself. Down in the corner. Okay, it's fine. It's just showing us, probably not actually what it looks like. Sometimes with Photoshop, you gotta flatten it out to really see. But anyway, that's how the levels get adjusted. Let me zoom out and look at the whole thing. Okay, so we can control this in real time, just like we can in the other app. But in Photoshop, we could do a little bit higher res. Sometimes it just gets slower, though. It doesn't really work as quickly. But we're going to look at all that stuff, too. Trust me. I'm getting into things at a deep level, how to do high-resolution imagery, how to make it quick and fast, how we work with it. You can change the angle of these dots, the shape, the different patterns it uses. But you could possibly set up this for the batch process, but I think the batch process is easier just to do with the automated ones. Okay, let's just close that. Let's maybe open up one more image and run it through the custom action. Okay, like this one. Instead of the full auto, let's go to user choice, DTF prep for custom shirt auto. And now I get to stop and adjust the levels of how it works. So you see, if I had too much cutting out, it cuts out all this background stuff. And if I let too much up here, it's not cutting out enough background. So or it's not leaving enough stuff. So I want to leave some stuff and then not cut out too much, just a little. Hit OK. And we can choose a resolution or a size. Maybe I'll say, okay, now I want it to be 10 by 720. Hit okay. Discard the other channels, it's fine. 720, halftone screen. I can choose 30 LPI if I want. Maybe to change the angle 22.5. Maybe we'll do a line halftone. And there we go. So that's converted the background that was the navy blending into this original image like that to a halftone screen. Okay. Over the background color. That's really cool. And it's lines at 22.5 degree angle. Nice. You can just delete this and save this as a PNG file. Okay, so that's it for this video today. Going over all these new updates. You can now use ScreenTone DTF edition directly offline on your desktop, on a Mac or PC. Even works on mobile, but you kind of want a good screen size to work with it. And you can now, in ScreenTone DTF, just load an image in, automatically try to get the background removed, and to halftones, set the image sizing. We'll go up to like maybe 400%, so we get a higher resolution out of this original image. It was low res, so now it's 350 DPI, 10 inches wide by about 15 tall. And we'll just do save image automatically, and then we'll just do the choked underbase right here. Save. Okay, so everything's working now much more automatically. You don't got to go in and really pick the background colors unless you do it, get into it more manually. And we can do batch processing, a lot of images all at once. And then again, in the Photoshop actions, version 1.2.7 of that, we can load images and run things automatically there too. So we can load one of these images in. Let's grab this guy here. And in the action set, 1.2.7, we can do full auto DTF prep for custom shirt auto. Goes through, tries to detect that color in the background, removes it all to halftones. Can delete the layer. Here we go, ready to save, ready to print, save as PNG or TIFF file, just like that. Perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but you get the idea. It's pretty much, the artwork wasn't even really perfect. Think about it, a lot of this AI stuff, it's just, it looks cool. People are going to send it to you, want it to get printed. It doesn't have to be perfect how everything comes out. You just need to put it on the shirt and go on with your production. This stuff is meant to help with that, but it also is for doing really precise edits. So we'll get into that in some future videos. Thanks for watching. Thanks for purchasing the product if you bought it. And, feel free to email me, contact me, ask me any questions you got, and we'll see you guys in the next video.